Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Another exciting show and definitely another exciting guest. Today we're going to talk with Cynthia Rapaido. Did I pronounce the last name right?
That's correct. Thank you.
An author, a strategist, influencer, and let's call it what it is. A shaker. A shaker meaning taking her heritage, analyzing it, and trying to bring unity to all with her words, her leaderships, and this concept that we're going to talk about in a minute. Without further ado, let's welcome to the show, Cynthia. What's up, Cynthia?
Hello, Andre. Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know,
thank you for having me.
You're my first Filipino American guest. Ain't that crazy? Yeah, I'm honored.
That is crazy. Wow.
I'm honored.
Thank you. Do you know anybody that's Filipino American?
No, but you know what's so funny?
What's that?
In 2005, I produced a show called Before and After. And it was right during the time of The Biggest Loser came right after that. And it was the same concept as Before and After. And I needed a cook on the show. And we used to have a store here, a grocery store called Marsh. And they did this television series called Dollar Heart. And I happened to go in there because I would always go there to the deli where they did fresh food daily and get my food. And this guy had his back turned to me, this older gentleman. And I could tell he worked out because I'm a professional bodybuilder. But I knew his back was like humongous. I'm like, okay, this cat works out. He's an older cat. Like maybe at the time he was probably like in his 60s. Long story short, he was a cook. And he came onto the show and his wife was Filipino. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy. Only Filipino I ever known in my whole entire life. With that being said, you're second generation.
Yes.
Filipino, correct?
Yes, definitely. My parents came to the United States, and then through my dad being in the military, and then I was born in Long Beach, California.
I love Long Beach. I love some Long Beach. Let's do like this. Tell the viewers a little bit about you. How did that journey start here before we get into these concepts in your book?
Which part of my journey?
Well, your second generation. How did the second generation start? We know the first generation came here. How did your generation start?
Well, when I think of the second generation, my dad joined the U.S. Navy, and that's what got him here. My mom was also Filipino. So as a U.S. Navy man, they ended up moving to the United States, and then my siblings were born in different places. My oldest was in the Philippines. My two other sisters before me were born in Stockton. I was born in Long Beach. My brother was born in Long Beach. And then my little sister was in Connecticut, when my dad moved back to the Philippines. So she was born in the Philippines. So we all grew up in different parts. And then we traveled all the way to Connecticut. I grew up in Connecticut first through sixth grade. Then my dad retired. We moved to San Diego. So that whole journey in itself was a journey where people that are in the Navy understand bouncing around from different locations and having to adapt to different groups of people, but also people who are also military brats.
You educate me and the viewers. Filipino culture, Filipino lifestyle. And the way I'm doing this is, I think this will bring a lot of clarity to the method, the concept, and method to the book, because I want to be able to relate to you both humanly possible, but more culture possible. So I can make sure I'm asking the right questions versus just random questions. Making sense?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about it. What's that like? Filipino origin, American. What's the whole culture like for you growing up?
So growing up wise, I mean, if I think about my parents and what they instilled in us as Filipino to carry on that tradition and generation part, it's really about respect for elders. So there's part of that Asian culture, respecting not just elders, but it's a lot of it is respecting elders. And it doesn't necessarily mean even status. So if I had somebody that was babysitting me, that wouldn't make much sense. If I was an administrator and I have a secretary that's older than me, I still have to give her respect because she is older than me. So that whole thing about respect is not about, okay, I'm the leader and you're my secretary, I'm going to treat you this way. So that becomes a challenge in itself. That's one part. And then there's this saving face where we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings. So we word things a little differently or polite. We kind of hold back on some of our directness. We love karaoke. We love singing. We love playing, having fun. We love parties. We love to dance. We love to cha-cha. That's, a lot of it is here in California. But even the Philippines, a lot of them love the karaoke fun stuff. But in terms of the culture, part of it is also not bringing shame to the family. So if there were somebody that were sick in the family, we don't talk about it. So some things are not talked about. And we don't want people to judge. We think that people will judge. So that's why there's that secrecy kind of thing.
What are the sometimes cripple the mindset because of tradition? Like, sometimes it's good to be able to talk, to vent, to seek advice outside of tradition. You had to learn two traditions and incorporate both traditions, both old and American. Was that difficult for you?
It was. I think if there's a lot of other things, I always tend to analyze, myself and how I can get better. But even like being the middle child, okay, well, how is this different than being the oldest child or the baby of the family? But yeah, there's a lot of navigating that I had to do with my own identity. Because even growing up, being in the military, there wasn't very many people that were Filipino. So of course, I become what's called, what people refer to as whitewashed. I was kind of like a hippie child. But then when we moved to San Diego, I was surrounded by Filipinos, and I thought, well, I can't even tell the difference who's Filipino, who's Guamanian, who's Mexican. And just trying to fit in. And that was like in junior high. But even professionally was hard.
How were you able to do that in school and going into the workforce? I mean, assimilating into what we call modern American culture, because you did mention whitewash. Like, how did that play in with your mental? Because let's get real. When you know your culture, that comes first. It's hard to not embrace that first, because that's where it all starts at. Now you have to figure out, okay, this is a new world. Now I carry two titles, Filipino/American. Me of color, I probably carry tons, Africana, Europe, tons, but I still got that last title, which is called American. So I have to fit in some kind of way, but I also, when you know your culture like you do, it's a lot easier. When you're like me and you don't know which culture to really embrace, it becomes a pretty hard thing. So in high school, it can be brutal. Let's be real. Brutal. How did you manage to keep your sanity and navigate? And were you able to really share the transition that you was trying to deal with from high school to college to the workforce with your own culture?
Yeah, it was interesting and tough because, like I said, in junior high, I'm now surrounded by my own ethnic group, and I felt judged because do I fit in? Yeah, do I fit in? Because I had like a Connecticut accent for one thing. I didn't really know that Filipinos love to dance, or Filipinos do know how to cha-cha, or I liked certain styles of music. And then when I moved out to San Diego, everybody was into Earth, Wind, and Fire, and listening to Stylistics, and I loved it. But I couldn't relate to it because I was into just the pop, music that would come on the radio, and then being kind of like, okay, well, I'm going to learn how to dance, and then I started really getting into that with the peers of Filipinos and making more friends because that's who I was surrounded by. And then my mom and dad moved again to this other area. Now I'm going to basically an all white school again, and very different than Connecticut because again, I'm amongst people that are military brats and we're used to people coming, going and accepting each other. But in Bonita, they've been there all their life pretty much. So I'm again an outsider trying to navigate my own identity, and I kind of got a little lost. I ended up hanging out with just a handful of people that were of different colors, ethnic groups, not as much with the whites. And then when I ended up going to college, there was this one table that was advertising for club members, and it was a Filipino organization called Samahan. And they said, yeah, are you Filipino? You want to join the club or this organization? I thought, well, am I better than this? I'm thinking, I don't even know if I fit in this kind of group. But I said, okay, I'll check it out. And so I went, and then I ended up liking it because they're like, oh, wow, I'm around people that kind of look like me. And that opened up my eyes again about being Filipino. And then they wanted me to be the cultural coordinator. I'm thinking, I'm supposed to be the cultural coordinator. Okay, I know a little bit of Tagalog, the language. I know a little bit about the culture. But I'll bring it on. I'll take it on in. And then I also was the academic coordinator. Now I'm trying to help high school students that are Filipinos to go to college. And that was another way of making it more visible that you could go to college. Here are some opportunities that you may not even know, but you have to plant the seeds ahead of time. You can't just wait till your senior year to say you're going to go to college. Right. So all of that kind of impacted me. But what really, really impacted me was later on during my years as a leader, there was this workshop that I had to go to, and it was with Glenn Singleton. And it was like the color line, Courageous Conversations. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Again, I'm still like the only Filipino American educational leader in this room. And I'm still thinking, well, where's my peeps? Right. And it made me kind of not just become aware, but what I need to do. And I remember thinking, I'm going to do what he's doing. I'm so inspired by the work and embracing my ethnicity and embracing my culture, and not just avoiding that, and growing from that. So that was huge. And then from there,
didn't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Did you feel you had to put it on the back burner versus embracing it?
It wasn't so much of putting it on a back burner, but I wasn't as interested in learning about it. Really? I think, yeah, I was thinking, okay, well, even my own siblings, they don't really like join Filipino organizations and get involved. Like I've embraced it. I mean, they are still in San Diego, so they're still surrounded by the community. Whereas up here in the Bay Area, I'm still,
their
trying
environmental
to.
circumstances haven't really allowed them the opportunity to see things the way in which you've seen it or seeing it. Let's go down something. With all that you went through, you came out with a book.
Mm-hmm.
I like this title. Stepping Up Your School Leadership Game.
Mm-hmm.
How did your experience of what you just shared resonate to the creation of this book, and why? And why pick that particular title?
What made me write that book was, as I went into education, there were a lot of things that I didn't know, what I didn't know. And it's basically to help others to transition and navigate how to become a leader. And so then it's kind of like a framework of, okay, now you got the job. What do you need to do? You just got it. You were once a teacher, or you were once a vice principal, but now you're going to be the principal. What do you need to do that's different? And I remember thinking to myself, well, what kind of title do I want it to be? Is it kind of like dealing with things coming at you? That's kind of put offish. Or how to navigate? That's kind of boring. And then somebody was saying, well, what are you really doing? It's like, step it up. I go, hey, I like that. Mm-hmm. Because many years I stayed in that position as assistant principal, and I didn't want to be an assistant principal. I wanted to do like Glenn Singleton did, where I can teach people about ethnicity and race. But somebody had said, no, but if you want to be at the university, then you should also become a principal. Then I thought, okay, well, I'll be a principal for a few years. Then I'll work at the university. But that's what made me become a principal. And then I wanted to write a book about how to become one and how to navigate that. And then I'm still doing the work working with new and aspiring administrators wanting to go into administration.
What was the handicaps that was preventing you from developing the mindset to get to where you was at with the book? Because evidently there were things that you knew you wanted to do, mm-hmm. but some type of system, belief, or whatever was holding you back. What were those things?
I'm trying to think of in terms of the mindset. Can you be a little bit more?
Like, you wrote the book, so I always think that most books that people write stem from something that they went through. And before they wrote the book, there were setbacks. They had the ideas. Mm-hmm. They had the setbacks. The setbacks usually lead to you going to get the pen and the pencil and writing down the steps that you had to take to get to where you're at. So my question is, what was the delays that prevented you from actually executing what you're now teaching through the book, or what you're inspiring through the book?
I think that the delays it was just the timing of it. Mm-hmm. When I did my dissertation, and I thought, okay, I could use that and turn that into a book. But I thought, well, I could, but it's already a book. Right. And what can I do that's more that I can give? What can I pass on my knowledge to help others? So that's where I was coming from. Like, what information would be most useful? And I had done a bunch of different presentations, scholarly presentations, and I thought, okay, well, one was like my first year, or the to-do list, for new administrators, and somehow putting that in the book. But it took a while to kind of develop those ideas. Mm-hmm. And then I finally just signed up for this writing class, or writing, it's called self-publishing. And I just said, I want to write a book, but I just can't get it organized.
Right.
And that really helped. me with developing it. I hope that answers your question, Andre.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. When you begin to format this formula of writing the book, what was its main objective? Like, what was the one part of that book that or chapter that you personally struggle with, and now you have to articulate it into what we call understanding for dummies?
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I think that the opening part where I talk about how challenging it is, it's a commitment.
Yeah.
We work, beginning of the day, like, early in the morning till end of the night, because there's all this commitment that we have to do. And this is the life of an administrator. It's almost like a parent with a child. It's just ongoing. I don't have any children, but it is just ongoing that it's a struggle. So that first part was, do I put that at the beginning and scare people away? Or do I put it at the end because it's, now that you've read all about it, this is what it's going to look like. So I think that experience was one. And then at the same time, it was knowing myself and what is my why, which is also really important. And part of it was embracing who I am. I'm Filipino American. I love who I am. I love my identity. Don't be afraid to be who you are. Be authentic. Know your strengths. Know your areas that you need to grow. And stay focused.
Did you find yourself, you just touched on something, so I'm going to go back a little bit here.
Okay.
You don't have any children. You're looking for your why. I'm trying to make sure I say this right. Were you dealing with trying to make a decision to embrace culture, tradition, or were you trying to go outside the box and find a way to weave all of this together to make it make sense?
I think it's all of it, all of that. I think it's all of that because, again, when I went into teaching, I taught, right? We're in a classroom, the bells ring, and then the classroom's mine. I can teach whatever I want to teach in that subject area. But being an administrator, it was hard to navigate because part of it is, okay, well, how do I lead if I don't know how to lead? I can lead.
That's really
kids.
Powerful what you just said.
Which part?
That was powerful what you just said, because we just talked about this on a particular episode. How do you lead when you don't know how? Or do you have the tool sets? We're not saying you don't know how, but if I had the tool set, the tools, could I be the leader that I want to be?
Absolutely. And you have to be willing to learn and not be stubborn about certain things and know your blind spots, know those areas. What are those barriers, whatever those barriers might be, whether it's mental barriers, cultural barriers, or just your behavioral barriers, which I'm still developing and I'm working on continuously.
What are your barriers? You open that part up.
My barriers is I love harmony. I love bringing people together, and I love talking and just getting to know people, as a group. And sometimes just having those, it's difficult to have difficult conversations.
Right.
It's difficult to discipline somebody or be direct when I want harmony. So sometimes I'll avoid that conflict but then deep down inside, it's like, okay, I recognize it. Okay, do something about it. Say something, and not back out of it. But I still catch myself doing it.
Were you ever met with resistance because you want to be a leader, you want to be an administrator, but let's get real. You're living in several, not that far away in distance to where you're surrounded by people that you know, and here you over here. Let's use the word that you use, whitewash. What was the biggest challenge? Because you got to go and apply for these upgrades.
Mm-hmm.
We still live in a society where I tell people you have to always add in the biggest handicap of anything, and that's people's mindset. How do you take your ambition to elevate to that status of leader, achiever, the whole 9 yards, to people that may or may not want to give you that opportunity?
It's not easy. I think it's how I show up. And if I understand where they're coming from or where they're at, then I want to make sure that it's something that I also want. Whether it's, do I want to, is this the kind of setting or environment that I want to be in and thrive? Am I going to, is it going to be toxic? I mean, I don't want to just put it in, and I'm giving my all, and I know that there's people that don't want my presence or may think that I'm not fit for the position. Mm-hmm. But I think my own mindset is I am, and if there's areas that I don't know, I'm going to need to learn, and not to be afraid to ask for help, and as well bring my other team in and just say, hey, I'm going to bring you to my meetings because I want you to also learn. I wish my administrators, my supervisors also brought me in, because now I need to lead, and I don't know how to lead because there's stuff I don't know, like budget, which is not the funnest topic, but I don't know how to do the budget. I don't even like doing my budget at home. Why would I want to do the budget for the school? So I would tell my team, each one of you will get to come with me and learn how to do the budget. So when you are ready to step into a principal role, you've got it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or at least understand it.
Now, let's take, I'm not going to give everybody the nuggets of the book, because the idea is to pick up the book and read it. Plain and simple. So we gave you a few of the nuggets on the book, but let's talk about something that's clearly mind-boggling to me. Let's talk about this concept. The My Fruit leadership concept. That's pretty, I like fruit.
Good.
So tell me the connection between the book, the Filipino American connection, and My Fruit concept. What is all this?
So if I were to talk about the fruit leadership concept, it's fruits that name your behavior. So everybody loves fruit, and you don't have to stick with one fruit, because how do you grow?
Right.
So it's, if you understand the fruit, then you can go, okay, now I understand a little bit about how I behave. And now if I hear that you're another fruit, now I understand how you behave. Mm-hmm. And how do we work together, knowing that we have these certain behaviors?
Give me an example. What if I like, one of my favorite fruits is a Granny Smith apple. What does that make me?
Okay. So
if it's bad, don't tell me.
What's that?
If it's a bad fruit for me to pick, then don't tell me.
No, it's not a bad fruit. So you just said it, and no, you just kind of chose a random fruit. But in that food concept, there's only 4 fruits. One of them is an apple, another one's pineapple, orange, and grapes. So you just named one of them.
Right.
And based on that, I'm going to give you a description.
Right.
And then you can just tell me if it resonates. And then if not, then just choose any of the other ones.
Okay, go.
Okay, here we go. Apples are the simpler fruit of all of them in terms of all you have to do is take it, wash it, eat it, and you're done, right? Yeah. It's no nonsense kind of fruit. All the other ones, you have to peel it, you have to cut it, you have to do something with it. With that, it's so A for apple, A for action. You're action oriented. You just want to take the idea, let's go, let's do it. Come on. You're like I don't know if this is you, but it's more like, I've got the idea. I'm ready to initiate, implement, execute.
Damn, you got me like crazy, dog.
And see, now knowing you that you're an apple, you're not labeling yourself. You now know the characteristics and the behavior. And now when I see you or talk to you, I'll go, oh, okay. So if I'm going to meet with you, I need to make sure that I'm ready to go.
Right.
Right. And if I tell you, okay, I'm going to tell you what I am.
I was getting ready to ask you, what are you? Let me pick the fruit. Let me pick the fruit.
Yeah, pick it.
Let me pick the fruit based on what we just did.
Yeah.
Now, I only get to choose from those fruits that you gave me?
Yes.
What were they now?
Okay, apple, pineapple, grapes, oranges.
I would say you're more of a grape.
Why?
Because if something doesn't resonate with you, you like opportunities. You like because you've been culturally driven with all different type of being in the military. So you experience the globe. So once that part of your life is done, you still have it, but you can put it over here. Now it's on to the next one, So you like a adventure, but you like the experience of the adventure. So the stems that hold the thing there is your family, your roots. You're never going to let that go, but you're going to get rid of things that don't. But at the end of the day, you can still take that stem and put it back in the ground and regrow it again, or the seeds. That's just my interpretation.
Well, yeah, that's really pretty good. I like how you analyzed it like that, Andre.
Really?
Yeah. That's very interesting how you chose that.
So what are you?
I am a grape.
Really? Damn.
I am. Very, very good. I know. Isn't that cool? Okay. So when you think of grapes are in bunches, right? They're in groups. Well, guess what? I like groups. I like harmony. I want to hear everybody's input. I want teamwork.
Right.
And we're all the same. We're equal. There's equity. There's equality. I'm the middle child. I'm going to balance everything out. So that's the grape.
Let me ask.
And so now you know how to work with me, because now you're going to say, okay, not need to know how, but now that you know that, your relationship with me would be more like, okay, I can tell you, hey, Andre, if you want to work better with me, be inclusive. Ask for my opinion.
Yeah.
And then you can say, hey, Cynthia, if you want to work with me, I need you to not be so groupy. Let's just go.
Yeah. Don't overanalyze.
Don't overanalyze. Don't keep asking for input. Don't keep dwelling on everybody's opinion. Let's go. And so knowing that, now I can just work with you. You can work with me. We can be a team and get things done. And if you're my brother, right, I would know how to work with you as my brother. I'd say, hey, Andre, let's go.
I never thought about that. So that's why just pick those particular fruits when we know there's bananas, there's watermelon, there's peaches, there's plums. Do those have what I guess I would call identification marker?
It's more like a visual so that you don't forget. So once you know it, then you have that idea. And now you can just kind of move forward with, okay, now I know how to grow in those other areas. So I need to not just stick with it being a grape, but I need to be able to grow my apple. I need to be able to grow my pineapple. I need to be able to grow my orange behaviors.
Right. What about a lemon?
Well, a lemon could be similar to like an orange.
But it's sour.
It doesn't matter so much of the flavor. It's just how things are structured. Well, an orange and lemon are structured. So the people who choose an orange or identify as orange, well, guess what? They like to kind of analyze things. They like detail. They like to process and analyze.
Really? So that's why the orange is tightly knit, and then when you pull it back, layers or something like that of the orange?
It's just the whole process. There's a process, there's systems in place. So you might know a friend that might be an orange. Maybe I could think of my sister. My sister is very analytical. She looks at all the little details.
Right.
But maybe she's not as organized in her house, but in her mind, she has everything like, okay, she writes everything down and it's all structured. Like A, B, C, D, E.
But can you
go for it?
All right, girl. You know I gotta ask this question.
Yeah.
I think you can get along with everybody. I at least try to, but let's get real. Which ones are more compatible when it comes to working together? Because I think I can get along with all the fruits, but I have a tolerance too.
Right.
Does that make any sense?
Absolutely. And you don't have to be boxed in to one fruit. The idea is to develop all the fruit. So as you continue to grow, you become all of them.
I like a sangria too. So you're saying make sure you make a good sangria. You just got to figure out how many you need to put in. So I like this. I like that concept. It's beautiful. I never even thought about that. You know, if you put in too many grapes and you like sangria, it may not be as good to the person that likes more apples. Me, if I had a sangria, I want more apples. And believe it or not, that's usually what I gravitate to when I'm drinking one of those. I snatch the apples out. I very seldom would take any of the other fruit.
Oh, that's too funny.
Yeah. So, how did you come up with that concept? It's beautiful. And it's easy to explain. An easier way to explain some people's behavior patterns and allow them to really explain their own behavior patterns. And more importantly, to do like you just did me. Hey, what do you think I am and why? Based on the conversation.
I got lost on your question.
No, I was just giving an analysis. You know, like my question was, how did you come up with this concept? Because it's so beautifully done. Like me and you just played the game of the fruit concept. I loved it. I think it's a way to really open Pandora's box, so to speak, with people. Put them in the spot and say, well, what do you think of me based on my conversation? If I was a piece of fruit, which one would you choose and why?
Right. And I think, it becomes a conversation piece. And you might think, okay, I mean, I when I'm talking to somebody and I'm working with them and I'm coaching them and I'm thinking, God, they sound like a pineapple. And when I ask them, and then which one do you resonate with out of all of them? They'll say something different, and I go, oh, okay. So now I got to work with them in a different way. And so that relationship and building it is okay. Let's work on whatever it is. I can't remember what that other person was. And then she would describe her boss, and her boss is like this, like this, like this. And I go, oh, she's probably an apple. I go, but ask her, what is she? And now you know how to work together. Mm-hmm. She was that's right. The person I was working with was a pineapple and her boss was an apple. And things were not getting done, but now they were able to communicate and then they were able to put things in action. But how it came to fruition was, I was trying to think of a way to relate to those behaviors, but not have to memorize those behaviors. Like, okay, I'm like this. I like being in groups and making sure everybody's voices are heard at the table. But I don't want to have to memorize those things. But what's something simple? And I was trying to think, okay, maybe a cartoon character, or maybe a bird. I don't know. I was trying to think of what can I go.
I like
fruit.
The fruit. I like the fruit.
The fruits. Everybody knows a fruit. There's nothing wrong with any of the fruits. They're beautiful.
What is a pineapple? I'm curious now. That's part of my apple.
It's part of your apple.
Yeah.
Okay. So a pineapple. When you think of a pineapple, I mean there's eyes on the outside, right?
And it's well protected because of the layers that it takes to get into. I know it's probably hard to crack their internal structure. I guess once they have their mindset on something, you're gonna have to really come with some vital information to allow that penetration to happen. That's just I'm just guessing.
And you know what? Because you're able to think like that, it's the easy visual for anybody to kind of think about it. Now it's along those lines. It's the pineapples are visionary. They like to come up with ideas. They think of all the possibilities and what if, and oh, I have this idea. Let's do that. But then there's always so many ideas, and then later on they may not follow through as much because they're lost with the idea.
Do they have a tendency to, because you're dealing with something that it has so much protection, how do you get to them to allow your idea to resonate or combat or bring questions to structure? Because let's get real, pineapple to me is structure. It's there. You're going to have a hard time getting to me. You better come with something that's going to either be on the same level as I am, or I'm going to reject it.
Right. And there's a lot of them that might be like leaders that are thinking visionary, strategic planning, and way out the 5-year plan. And it's kind of like, okay, well, bring it back down. What does that look like?
Right.
Let's bring it down to, okay, what's a 3-year plan look like? What does a 2-year plan? What does a day plan look like? And that's when that, like the orange part, because there's that structure, can work with a pineapple and go, okay, here's some structure. Let's put this in place. This is what that's going to look like. And then pineapples, again, if you're not willing to learn or grow, then you'll be stuck in that world, right? I can be stuck in this grape world. But if I can go, okay, let me develop my other areas, then I'm able to build a better team. If you're a pineapple and don't want to be stuck with trying to, because they could get easily bored, they don't want the structure. They don't want to have to figure out the details. They just want to come up with ideas. You're the one I hired to do X, Y, and Z. That's why I need you. And I need you to, because you're the apple, to get it done, help get it done with things in place. And then the grape can kind of, okay, let's make sure that everybody's on board before we can move forward.
So I guess the end game to that structure is to have the ability for all the fruits that you mentioned, is to be able to, each one of them needs the ability to listen, be objective, and be open-minded to everyone else's state of mind.
Yeah.
You come up with that. I think you just basically narrow down life's simple, or should we say life's difficult problems. People's inability to not put themselves in the place of other people or other fruits in this case, and have the ability to listen, process, and reason.
Right. That is it. I mean, once one knows their behavior, again, it doesn't have to always be the fruit but it can help visualize. But once we learn or know our behavior, then we can address it in ourselves and develop those other areas, and then just embrace who we are, our strengths, and then work on the different needs of the people that we're working with.
So before we wrap up, first of all, thank you for taking time to educate us and show us that you're definitely doing something to help humanity, especially with the fruits. Man, I can't get over that. We're telling what topics we talk about on this show with that mindset. That's crazy. I'm gonna start I tell people, we're this show isn't just a podcast. We provide resources and education. I encourage people to try that every day with people and make it a game out of it and get to know other people, but more importantly, get to listen to what they're saying. I think we don't listen enough to other people. We're quick to judge and less likely to go here and go, let me think about that. Or it's to the point, if your mission don't serve me or what's important, you don't serve me, I'm not listening. I'm disconnected from it. Mm-hmm. Go back to you. What's your end game here? You created a book, beautiful book. You created this beautiful theory, which I love. Well, not theory, let's call it a concept. This concept. I wouldn't even call it a concept. I would call it a proven method. You know why? Because you just did it on me. If you did it on me, then it's a proven method. It works.
Thank you.
What's the end game here with both of these things that you've created?
So with the book, I still want to get it in the hands of the universities. I want to get it in the hands of teachers, administrators. Just I want people to learn from that. But the next part is taking that fruit leadership concept and bringing more people aware of it. I want to do talks and presentations about it and help people understand themselves better, because if we understand each other better, then we can communicate better. We can strengthen our relationships and it's a synthesis. Yeah.
I mean, you just did it with me.
I know. Yeah. And you were able to analyze yourself and analyze me. That's amazing.
That's scary.
But now you can think about all the other people that you work with, and you can think, okay, well, now I know how, I can think of people who would frustrate me.
Yeah.
And then I go, okay, I know why.
Yeah.
And now I need to mirror that.
And the good part about this is also a good teaching tool for corporate America. When you're dealing with a destroying employee, why is that person not performing good? Why is this person, calling off all the time? A lot of times, a lot of it is the individuals that we work for really just treat you just like a 9-to-5 instead of realizing you're coming to work as a human being and you're leaving as a human being, which means you're dealing with things that person may not be able to talk about, but your method definitely can at least be a resource to helping them understand, what, this person is a pineapple. This is how I need to deal. It's almost like you don't have to overthink the process. You know what I mean? Here it is.
Right.
How do I do it? In other words, I believe keep it simple, stupid. That's what Dr. my English professor, Mark Love, said. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't try to reinvent the wheel,
Yeah.
Yeah. Now.
And that's exactly when I was thinking about it, when my husband and I were trying to think of, what I was going to try to do with that concept.
Yeah.
And he says, just use fruits. And I thought, okay, help me think of some fruits.
Did you use this? Did you use this on your husband?
Oh, we did it. We do it with each other. And sometimes it's funny because, let's say I need something to get done. Or, okay, we're going to go on a trip. He goes, we are. I go, yep. He goes, oh my gosh, here comes the apple out of me, right? And I say, well, you can help. Right. You can do the research. And because he's an orange. you can start looking at, and give me some feedback. But then next, it's like, oh, you're now becoming an apple.
Yeah, that is so neat. How can the viewers reach out to you, support, get your book, and know more about everything that you're doing for this beautiful world that we live in?
Oh, thank you, Andre. So my book is on Amazon. It comes in 3 different formats. The ebook, there's the audio, and the paperback. And then the email is basically cynthiarapaido.com, or you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well.
Sounds like a winner. Cynthia, thank you so much for taking time out to come on the show and educate us and show us what it's like to keep that beast mindset. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you click, subscribe, follow. All it takes is one click of a button to make a difference in your life or somebody else's life. This has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.